About 6 months ago, I was in a car accident where I was rear-ended by a friend of mine. My car was fine due to it being an SUV, but my friend was going around 30 miles per hour when he hit me, bending his hood similar to the shape of an accordion. Both my friend and I are relatively new drivers, having our licenses for 8 months and 2 years respectively. We help contribute to the statistic of drivers between the ages of 16 and 19 causing 12% of all traffic incidents. A span of 3 years in age contributes to nearly 1/8 of traffic incidents. One reason of these accidents are passengers in the car. In Georgia, we have the 6-month rule where after 6 months, you can drive one passenger. After 6 more months, you can drive two passengers, and then once you turn 18, you can drive as many passengers as your car can fit within seatbelts. What some people don't realize is that the passengers in your car can be more dangerous than any other factor. Once upon a sunny spring day in May, my friends and I were driving around town thinking of things to do and places to be, and so we came upon the idea of going to our high school and just kicking around a soccer ball on the practice field. As we pull up to the school, we see our friends about to pull out of the parking lot, and then we pull over by them and ask them where they're going. And they say they're going to a friend's house, and so myself and my passengers, we come up with a decision to go with them. And so we leave to go to our friend's house with me driving in front and my friend following from behind. We each had a couple of passengers. Myself, I was carrying 3 other people, and he was carrying 2. So we're driving down the road and we'd picked up Taco Bell prior to going to the school. I think it was a Saturday. Just bored, getting some lunch. And we came up with this terrible, terrible, terrible idea that we would throw tacos at our friends behind us. Now, throwing a taco is a bad idea in the first place because tacos are absolutely delicious and in no case should they ever be defenestrated, but we instead put the idea up for debate. I was concerned for the fact that I had just paid money for the tacos and that I would then lose my opportunity to eat them at our friend's house. But someone else in the car offered their tacos, so my complaints were now null. So it was decided we would catapult the tacos at our unsuspecting friends. We didn't think our foolish actions of launching tacos from the sunroof would be anything but entertaining, but we were wrong. The passengers launched the tacos from the sunroof as I drove, and I was distracted as I was watching in the rear view, waiting for that taco splatter right on the windshield, but that was probably the worst thing I could have hoped for. But luckily, none of the tacos were a hit, but we were about to turn on the road, and so I was slowing down and turning my blinker on. And I guess this is the only thing that I could have imagined happen, that he was just thinking in his car, what are they doing? They're throwing tacos? And maybe a little bit of laughter from the somewhat comedic attempt, tacos flying through the sky. But while that was going on, I was braking and coming to a stop. And, he noticed a bit too late. It was maybe 20 feet away. He was maybe at 40, 45, going down regular road, and so he's slamming on his brakes from 20 feet away, got maybe down to 25 to 30 miles per hour, and he just slammed into the back of my car. I mean, in my car, everyone's heads jerked forward, and, we were distraught for about 5 feet worth of asphalt before we realized what had just happened, and we pulled off to the side, and we looked back in the rear view, and there was this car just with the hood bent like an accordion, and it was kind of crazy. We all got out of the car and made sure we were all okay. Neither of the airbags went off, and the only person who was really affected was my friend who was driving in the car behind us. He wasn't hurt in any way. He was just emotionally distraught. He was upset with himself because it was an accident that could have been avoided, and he's right, it could have been avoided. But since we had just gotten into the accident, we were unsure of what we were doing, and it was our first accident, and so we determined that the cars were drivable, and so we headed our separate ways. His passengers now in my car, and all my passengers. We then headed to our friend's house who had invited us over, and then our other friend was driving to his house to explain what had happened to his parents, and I realized to myself that I wouldn't just be dealing with him. This was a beginning of a long chain of events, and sure enough, a little bit later, I get a call from his dad saying, I know about the accident. I know you weren't at fault. And it's not even the fact that, no one wants to be in an accident, and it was a bad experience. And so I have to give him a bunch of personal information, and he then tells me that he's going to relay that to the insurance company and that the insurance company will be calling me. And that's just when I was like, oh man, I really wish I told them not to throw those tacos. And now it was just getting a bit ridiculous. And 2 days later, the insurance company calls, and I have to give them all sorts of information that encompassed a 20-minute phone call that felt like it was never going to end. Now, if the initial accident wasn't bad enough, the amount of people I had to deal with was just making it bad enough. I mentioned earlier that the accident could have been avoided had my passengers and I just been better decision makers and not decide to throw the tacos. And on his side, had he paid attention to the road rather than getting distracted by his passengers. Then again, I say this, well, accidents are something that most people don't want to happen. They won't learn from my mistakes, but rather their own, unless they really take my words as words of strong advice. Pay attention to the road, not your passengers, not your phone, not even tacos that may be hitting your car. If you watch the road and are aware, you'll save yourself a lot of trouble and pain, and in some cases, even your life.